Okay, so this afternoon we are going to be discussing building your personal brand. Scott Monahan from the Princeton School of Real Estate is going to give us an introduction, and then I will come back on and give us a little application, specifically talking about Facebook today. So we are going to pause and hold all questions to the end, but we'll make sure at the end to unmute everyone. So if you have any questions, that would be the appropriate time to ask them. So let's go ahead and kick off today's webinar, Building Your Personal Brand.
Thank you, Courtney. As everybody knows, I'm Scott Monahan from Princeton School of Real Estate, career development coach. So let's start the program by talking about the characteristics of a successful salesperson. I think that this should make you feel a little bit more comfortable. What we have determined is statistics suggest that salespeople who are intelligent and helpful rather than aggressive and high pressure are most successful with today's empowered buyer. In other words, the internet's rise in prominence has caused a shift in power from the salesperson being the traditional closing type salesperson to the buyer. In other words, buyers will no longer tolerate being strong-armed into a purchase. They'll respond more so to salespeople who are helpful, smart, and respectful of their needs. So therefore, it's imperative that you build a personal brand of awareness. I'm going to suggest that it's all about you. In other words, the purpose of personal branding is to become the realtor of choice for the people that you come in contact with. If you think about it, everyone knows 12.7 agents. So what we need to do is determine what do we want to be known for. And in doing so, what we have to create is a narrative that we'll use, and we've discussed this previously, on your bio or your resume, but more particularly, on all of your promotional materials, which would include anything that is tangible, paper materials, flyers, and or your web presence, which could include Zillow, Trillia, Realtor.com, Wydell.com, Facebook, and others. So with that said, I'm going to give you a couple of thoughts about branding yourself, and then I'll turn it over to Courtney. So here's the question. With all of the brands out there and with all the competition out there, how do you differentiate your personal brand? How are you going to define yourself so that your prospects perceive you as the best solution to their problems? Well, you start by asking first, what do you want your brand to be? Now, this is you individually. Then ask yourself, what are your core values and beliefs? What do you stand for? If you can't identify your brand, then you're leaving it up to others, even your competition, to identify your brand for you. And my presumption is it will not be what you would have wanted it to be. So, to define your brand, think about you. Forget where you work. Forget about your title or position. What is it about you that makes you unique? What's unique about you as an individual? What have you accomplished that you can share with others? What do you want to be remembered for? So, for instance, your personal brand statement acts as a promise about you that you make to yourself and your customers. So write a sentence about you that summarizes your core values and beliefs and makes you stand out from the competition. Here's an example. My success and fulfillment comes by serving others. Whatever your statement is, it has to be authentic and it has to be true to you, who you are, and that you'll be able to live it, and more importantly, have others believe it. So try to make it simple, easy to remember, and communicate to others. You've heard me speak about this in the past as an elevator pitch. It has to be relevant. Make sure that you can connect it to what you do, so it has to be similar to or in line with your profession. and believable because your credibility depends on it. Your brand is what is going to make you different. So, that said, Courtney is going to demonstrate one way that you'll utilize your brand by using Facebook as a means to promote yourself. So, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Courtney, and then we'll come back afterwards. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Scott. So as he mentioned, I will be discussing a little bit of Facebook best practices, how you can use your either a Facebook business page or even your Facebook personal page to continue to promote yourself and essentially your brand. As agents, our digital footprint is so important, and this is going to be something that we are going to continue to stress and discuss more at our Friday training. And what I mean by our digital footprint is your agent website, any social media platforms or presence that you are a part of, your profiles on Trulia, Zillow, Realtor.com. These are all very, very important. As Scott mentioned, the average person knows many real estate agents, and most people still will go to the web to Google or to look up your professional footprint versus knowing you on a personal level. So it's very important that we have things up to date, and if we are going to use social media, just that we have a good presence. So one of the avenues that we're going to talk about today, as Scott mentioned, is Facebook. First, before we get into a little bit of the nitty-gritty, I want to discuss using Facebook for a business page versus a personal page. And what I mean by that is essentially you could have a business page where you strictly post business information, or you can post business information from your personal page. So it's really a personal preference which way you would like to manage it. There's no right or wrong way. It's kind of whichever one you would like to do. Obviously, if you create a business page, the majority of your content is going to be business related. There's nothing wrong with including some personal information on there every now and then, but it will be more strictly business. So some people like to keep it a little bit more separate and a little bit more professional, but it's not a bad option either to include it on your personal page, to make your personal page your business page as well, because it is a part of who you are. So those are just some things for you to think about if you are currently not on Facebook or have a business page. Just some things that you need to think about how you would like to manage it, if you want to have a separate page or if you would like to do everything from your personal page. So today I'm going to show you how to create a Facebook business page, and then we're going to walk through kind of some of the Facebook best practices, give you some insight on some good content to share, as well as just talk a little bit about how Facebook works and the importance of boosting posts to really reach some of your audience too. So let's go ahead and get started. We are going to go to Facebook. So if you do not currently have a personal Facebook page, you will need to create a personal Facebook page in order to create a business page. So assuming that you already have a personal page created, you'll do everything from your personal page, but you'll be able to link to your business page. So if you go over to this right-hand corner, there's a down arrow. If you currently have pages or are managing pages, you'll see all of them right up here. If you don't, you can just go down to this button that says Create a Page. Now once you're at this Create a Page, it gives you multiple options, what type of business it is. For our purpose, I would recommend using the local business or place option. And now you pretty much just walk through and fill out all the information. So you can choose your category. Real estate is an option. So select real estate. Business or place name. I would use your name and then your designation, sales associate, and the company that you're with. So I would do Wydell Real Estate. For the street address, I would go ahead and use your office location. And then for phone, you can do either your office phone or you can do your personal phone as well. And I'll show you later where you will be able to add additional information. So this isn't the only contact information that people will have. Click Get Started. Okay, so now we'll just follow these steps: about, profile picture, add to favorites, and preferred page audience to create our page. So you can see it says add categories. Right now I have real estate. I think that is sufficient for what we are doing, but if there's any other descriptors that you want to add in, you can search it, you can type those in and add them as well. It says add a few sentences to tell people what your page is about. This would be a great spot to include any information about you or your brand. If you do have kind of your elevator pitch, a little bit of what Scott was talking about earlier, this would be the best place to add this as well. And again, later, once we have created our page, I'll show you where you can add some additional information as well. So just for the sake of time, I'm just going to write a few notes in here. Okay, and this next option is for your website. So I would recommend linking to your Wydell agent page. So you can just go ahead and copy that link and paste it. Answer these next few questions. Is Courtney Graham, sales associate, Wydell Real Estate, a real establishment, business, or venue? Yes. And will Courtney Graham, sales associate, Wydell Real Estate, be the authorized and official representation of this establishment, business, or venue on Facebook? Yes. So once I have that, we'll click Save Info. Next, you add your profile picture. So you can either upload from your computer or import from your website. So this icon right here is the size that the profile picture would be. I would recommend using a professional picture, a headshot. One of the important things when you are talking about branding yourself is to be consistent. So I would always try to pick the same image to use across all different types of media. So I'm going to go ahead and upload one from my computer. And once it's uploaded, click Next. Now this section, it said add to favorites. So all this is going to do is when you are in your personal Facebook page, on the left-hand column over here is where it lists your favorites. And this will just kind of be like bookmarking your site, so it'll be really easy for you to access. So I would go ahead and click Add to Favorites, and then click Next. So this preferred page audience is a new function of Facebook, and as you will see, the more that you get acquainted with Facebook, it changes often, and it is important to stay up to date with all of the changes that are happening on Facebook. So this just gives you a little bit better search functionality. So you can select locations and a little bit of demographics down here to help your page appear more likely to people that fit into those categories. So I would definitely encourage you to update the locations here, and I would update them with the towns that are in your market, kind of the areas that you work with the most. So just for today, I'm going to add Pennington, and let's say I'm going to add Ewing, and I'm going to add Hopewell. Oops. Great. So I'm just going to save this as is for today. And you can see one function about Facebook is they work a lot in radiuses. So you could do Ewing plus 10 miles, or you could extend it all the way up until 50 miles. So it gives you kind of a little radius to work within. It's usually set at 25, but you do have the option to change that. If you wanted to search for any interest, maybe you find yourself working more with a certain group of people rather than another, you can always select certain interests. And even maybe if you speak different languages, that might be something that you would want to add in there as well. So then you can click Save. And now you can see that your page is created. So it is pretty simple to creating your page. That's probably the easiest part of Facebook. Now the more important part of Facebook is keeping it updated, keeping it consistent. And I'll show you a few tips and give you just a few ideas as far as how to work your page. So now, since our page is up and it is live, there are just a few more things that I would recommend incorporating. So you can see my profile picture is there, but there's also this big blank spot right here for a cover photo. So I would recommend updating your cover photo. So the dimensions of the cover photo are 851 pixels by 315 pixels. You don't necessarily have to have an image that just is that size. It can resize and you can crop, but just to give you an idea. As an example, I'll show you our Whitehall Real Estate. So this is a nice cover image. Your cover image, it doesn't really need to say anything. It can have a little bit of a call to action, maybe a little bit of contact information about you, but usually just a nice professional image that is associated with real estate. It can even be a picture of a home. It can be another picture of you working with clients, or kind of just a nondescript picture. Again, I would definitely recommend it being a professional picture, or something taken not on your camera phone, excuse me. There are lots of other times that camera phone pictures work great for Facebook. That's definitely not an issue at all. But for your cover photo, I would recommend something of a little bit higher quality. So let's go back to our page that we created, and I'll show you just a little bit more around. So a few things that would be important to update before you really start using your Facebook page would be this About tab. So if you click on About, you can see the information that we entered earlier, and you can see here also that you can edit the information that we included earlier. So here, if you want to include any more information, you can include any more business detail, you can add an email. You can edit your story. So if you maybe wanted to have a little bit more information about who you are, or maybe this would be a good spot to include your full bio. So there are some different things that you can take advantage of in the About tab. So I would encourage you to make sure that all of that information is up to date, really, again, before you start using your page. So I'm going to go click back on the home function. So one of the things that I want to talk about, and this gets into a little bit of Facebook best practices, is posting and frequency of posting, and content that should be posted. I think sometimes when people think about social media, they get overwhelmed thinking that they have to be posting multiple times a day, and that social media can really take over a huge chunk of the time that they spend during the day. And if you allow it to, it can. But my recommendation, specifically for Facebook, and each social media platform is different, but Facebook, the maximum posting that you should do would be once a day. And really, 3 to 4 times a week is plenty. The whole point is just to make sure if someone visits your page that they see that it is consistently being updated. And we'll talk a little bit more about what content and recommendations as far as what you can post. Another point just to make before we get into a little bit of the content would just be what content is viewed best. So any posts with pictures are always much better received than just text. Same thing, pictures and videos. So if you are going to be using social media, it's really important that you start documenting everything. And this is where your cell phone camera works just fine. So if you are out working at an event, snap a few pictures. If you're at a closing and you have permission from the clients, you can snap a few pictures. So you can get creative with it as well. But content that has pictures or videos always proves to perform much better than content without it. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about your sphere of influence and how you can get your sphere of influence to interact with this page. So now that you've created your Facebook page, people won't, most likely they won't just search for your page and find it and like it. One important thing to do is to invite people to like your page. That's one of the ways that they'll be able to start seeing your posts appear on their newsfeed, and then they'll be able to interact with your page. So if you go down here to this likes tab on the left hand side, you can click on it. And if you click on more, if you scroll down, you'll see this option that says invite friends. So you can click on invite friends, and it will pull up all of your Facebook friends that you currently have. It's being a little slow right now, but so you can see that there's a search function. You can search for specific people, or you can just go down and click to invite. You can see that you can invite different groups of people. It can group people by location or even different groups that you are a part of. So that is one way. You can just go down and click invite, 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 and click close. It will send them a request to like your page, an invitation to like your page, and they'll be able to accept the invitation, and then they'll start seeing the content that you post in their newsfeed. The other way that you can invite friends is that you can invite via email contacts too. So if you don't necessarily know of aren't necessarily friends with them on Facebook, you can invite them via email as well. So if you click on invite email contacts, so you can either click to invite contacts and you can upload a contact file, or you can go through, if you are using Gmail or Outlook, you can invite via your contacts in one of those providers as well. So that's one of the best ways to go ahead and try to get your page out to your sphere, to the people that you are in contact with. So now I want to talk a little bit about content. So if I'll go back to home. So right here, this write something box is where you will essentially post on Facebook. They call them a status. So some of the recommendations for posting content: you can post listings, you can post open houses, you can post any events that you are a part of or going to. Again, with client permission, you can post a picture of a closing. You can, even if it's a business page, you can every now and then share some personal information, whether it's something about your family or some other sort of accomplishment that's outside of your real estate career. It doesn't have to be 100% just real estate business. But I would, if you're going to have a business page, I would just recommend doing that sporadically. You can share articles from other sources. Realtor.com has some great articles that you can always share. And one of the reasons why it's important to share from other sources or just to share information in general is you want to show yourself as one of the market leaders in the industry. And one way that you can do that is by giving and providing people with some sort of value, giving them some sort of information that they didn't know before. And that makes them feel like they can go to you to find out that sort of information. So let me show you how easy it is to, if you did want to either share an article or use some sort of content to post on your page. So you can type in, let's see, let's look at Realtor.com. Let's see if they have any information. Great, so you can see their page. You can sort through there, see if there's any information. Let's see, let's look. This one looks good. So if you click on it, always want to make sure to read the content that you'll be posting. Make sure that it's something that you feel comfortable presenting to people. So I apologize, our internet is being very slow right now. But just for the sake of time, let's say that this was something that we really enjoyed, thought it was valuable, that we would like to share with our sphere. There are two ways you can do it. You can either copy, and if you go back to your page, and you can paste the link right into your page, and it will automatically pull up the article, a little preview of the article. And once all that information has populated into your page, you can go ahead and delete the link and write your status content here. So this would include maybe something, your words that you would like to say, something about the article or whatever you're posting. Once you do that, all you would do is click publish. And normally the content would post right away. But normally the post would be published on your page. You can also, from Realtor.com, you can just click, there's a share function, and you can share it to your page as well. If you are just going to write some sort of status right here, maybe it's about a closing, you can write something about a closing in, and you have a photo that you want to include, you can just click on the photo and you can upload it straight from your computer. And once you have all that information in there, then you can just click publish and it's good to go. One of the other things that I would like to talk about is boosting posts. So boosting posts on Facebook is essentially Facebook advertising. One area that Facebook advertising works well for is especially if you are having a listing. Maybe you just got a new listing and you would like to promote it out to your sphere and to other people in a geographic location. You can do that. And even open houses too. So those are two very easy posts that would be good to advertise. The third one that I would think would be great to advertise would be if there were any professional accomplishments that you've received, any sort of press releases or articles written about yourself, showing that you're a market expert at all. Those would also be good posts to advertise and boost. So let me go ahead and show you quickly how to advertise on Facebook. One of the great things about Facebook advertising, it's fairly inexpensive and you really do have great reach. So just for the sake of an example, I'm going to switch over to our Wydell page just because it already has content populated on it and will just make for an easier example. So I'm going to scroll through our page a little bit so you can see we have different holiday posts. We have some articles proving us as market experts and market leaders. Again, some just for fun. It's always great just to show that you do enjoy what you're doing. So this is an open house posting. So say we would like to advertise this post. You'll see at the bottom right-hand corner of each post, there's an option to boost your post. So all you do is click on Boost Post, and it'll give you a few different options. Let me click back here. So your audience, so this is important, who you want to advertise to. So you can advertise to people who like your page and their friends, or people you choose through targeting. So if you choose someone through targeting, you can create an audience. This one right here is set for Pennington plus 25 miles and ages 18 to 65. So it's a fairly large group of people. You can definitely make it a much smaller group. You can tag interests. There's a lot of customization that you can make. For right now, I'm just going to go ahead and select people you this option, people you choose through targeting. You can set your budget right here. It's telling me that for $30 that I'll have an estimated reach of 2,500 to 6,600 people. So that's saying that my ad will appear in 2,500 to 6,600 people's newsfeed. So for $30, that's actually really good reach. You can choose your duration if you want your ad to run for 1 day, 7 days, 14 days. You can also run this ad until, and you can pick however long you would like to run it. So what that essentially tells us is that for this ad has a budget of $30, and that $30 will be spent over that period of time. So if you do 1 day, it'll be $30 all in 1 day, and if you do 7 days, it will be $30 spanning that 7 days. And then down here, you can just include your payment method. You can have a credit card on file, so each time you go to boost a post, it will already be saved, and you won't have to include any information at all. So then all you'll do is click boost. I'm not going to do that just for the sake of this exercise, and you'll be ready to go. Facebook will send you a notification saying that your advertisement has been approved. So once your advertisement has been approved, then you know that your advertisement will be running. So Facebook advertising, all in all, it has a great reach and can be done for fairly inexpensive. So it would be something that I would recommend looking into if you are going to be using Facebook. So that was kind of a quick overview of Facebook. If you have any more specific questions, please feel free to reach out to me specifically. I'd be happy to help you get started with Facebook or to really continue using it and using it to its best potential. So my email is cgraham@wydell.com, and I'd be happy to help you with any of that. I think right now we are going to unmute, and if you have any questions at all, specifically regarding Facebook or anything that Scott talked about in the beginning, just one moment and I will unpause and we'll be ready to go for questions.
All participants are unmuted.
Okay, so if anyone has any questions, please ask at this time. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us on this webinar today, and we really appreciate your time and hope that you will join us on Friday at our ProStart module training for a continuation